Good morning, folks. Welcome to our ESEA office hour for February 11th. We know that you folks have a spring break coming up in February, a well-deserved opportunity to hopefully re-energize and think about how to complete the school year with great success. We know that it's trying times. We are getting information as quickly as we can, and we are sharing with you folks as quickly as we can. So you'll see we have some timely updates for all of you as we move into the tail end of FY fiscal year 25 and also start thinking about FY 26 and ESEA funding.
All right, good morning, folks. As many of you probably saw either late yesterday afternoon or this morning, we released a priority notice about a memorandum of agreement we have entered with the U.S. Department of Ed about future Title II allocations, and I'm putting a link to that in the chat right now. But in summary, what you may remember is that last year we had to change the process we used to allocate Title II funds as a result of a U.S. Department of Ed audit finding. In short, what we used to do was take our census data and then adjust for student movements between school districts, and the U.S. Department of Ed determined that was no longer allowable. So if you're a school district, maybe that has like a school choice model, you might have an academy school, you would receive more funding from those students from outside districts that moved in, and that was no longer allowed. So as a sort of secondary corrective action from that finding, the Department of Education required us to go back and recalculate 5 years worth of previous Title II allocations, determine sort of who received too much funding according to that finding, and then who received too little funding, and then correct for that moving forward. So for the next 5 fiscal years, as crazy as that is to think about, for FY 26 through FY 30, every SAU's allocation will be affected by this finding. Some of you will receive more funding than you would normally based on your census data, and some SAUs will receive less funding. For many SAUs, it's almost a wash, right? Your funding goes up and down a little bit every year based on that census data, but there are some folks who are going to see some pretty significant hits. You know, those folks who were the biggest benefit to students moving into their district, obviously, were the ones receiving more funding than the U.S. Department of Ed determined they should have. So I'm going to put a link here in the chat as well that lists all the adjustments that are happening for the next 5 fiscal years. That was also in the priority notice. I know we've already had some folks reach out with clarifying questions. So we use some kind of basic accounting principles. So on that spreadsheet, if your number is in parentheses, that is the negative. That's the amount your Title II allocation is going to be reduced for the next 5 fiscal years. And if the number is not in parentheses, then that is the additional Title II allocation you'll be receiving. So with all of that being said, our plan is for the next 5 fiscal years to do a reallocation of previously unspent Title II funds, either by LEAs who just don't spend the funds and return them, or funds that we at the state have reserved and haven't used, to sort of make up for the reductions. So if you're an SAU who's receiving less FY 26 funds this spring, you will receive a reallocated pot of Title II funds for FY 25 that will hopefully equal the amount that your FY 26 allocation was reduced by. I know that's a lot of information, and it can get very confusing when we start sort of crossing those fiscal years. But our hope here is that we can use funding we have that hasn't been spent to help mitigate any sort of negative consequences that this finding from the federal government has. And of course, as Shelley alluded to at the beginning, all of this is connected to or dependent on Title II being funded at the federal level during this time. As a reminder for folks, winter monitoring is now open. We're shifting gears a little bit here. It's been open really since, I believe, January 1st. Those items are due on the 21st of February. We have trainings on our homepage, and obviously you can reach out to your regional program manager if you have any items that you're confused about. We did go ahead and mark off the Title I items as not applicable for a number of folks because you don't receive Title I-D. So if you're in that high group and the first item is Title I-D and you see not applicable, you may still have items after that you need to complete. So don't just stop when you see that. All right, and just a quick reminder, performance reports for FY24 were due back on November 1st. We have, by my count this morning, received 138 out of 181. So if you're one of those folks with an approved performance report, we appreciate you. We appreciate your hard work. If you haven't done that yet, please make sure you're working on that ASAP. Fund holds are probably the next likely step for folks who aren't able to get that done in the near future, but your regional program manager will reach out to you and contact you about that if that's the case.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone. Just an update on Title I comparability for this year. We're in the process of going through some of those reports for districts that this applies to, for those that have Title I schools that are in the same grade spans versus non-Title I schools in similar size. And then it also compares Title I schools in similar grade span and similar sizes. It looks at student to staff ratio and it looks at per pupil expenses to ensure you're aligned with section 1118C of Title I statute. So regional program managers are going to be the ones reaching out. Last year we did it through Grants for Me. So I would say we'll probably do that again this year where you get a formal letter indicating you've met comparability as a district. You want to maintain those for your records. And the reports, the data sets that we used will be attached with those. So I know sometimes you get quite a few Grants for Me notifications and they can get lost. We'll put Title I comparability right in the title of these, so you know, and that you maintain these records and keep them. So that will be in the next couple weeks. Just keep the lookout for those that are used to receiving comparability notices. Okay, I'm delighted to once again introduce the Title I Summer Reallocated grant opportunity for this year. In 2 weeks, we're going to host a training on February 26th, Wednesday at 10 a.m. The Zoom link actually is shared in the office newsletter, like it's up on the updates page, but I will send a notification through Grants for Me as well closer to the time for those used to getting their links that way. We will share that recording and then we will make the application live, and the application will be due March 31st. Just a reminder that this is a limited funding grant intended for Title I academic achievement over the summer months. So it's a very specific grant meeting specific student needs. And if you have questions, you can absolutely reach out to me. But again, we're kind of early. This is just kind of a FYI that training will be happening and that we will have some funding to reallocate to districts for Title I students. If it's a limited grant and there are more applicants than funding, we have reallocation procedures we post online. We do prioritize higher poverty schools and districts, and we prioritize Tier 3 schools. And I think we try to prioritize kind of those that have spent all of their funds and really don't have any wiggle room to host summer programming. So that's in previous years, we haven't had that happen. But it could happen this year. And then of course, the districts that have targeted assistance programs in Title I may be looking to move to school-wide models. If you are, those CNAs with Section 10 are due to me by July 1. I just remind folks quite early out so that the planning, those needs assessment meetings can happen with the right stakeholders, and so that you can update your data and take a look at your highest needs subgroups for your school-wide plans. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. There is a spot on our website that has all these templates and as well as the guidance and the rubric. So I'd be happy, I can share that here in a moment. And I just wanted to do a quick announcement that the website looks different now. Folks who are maybe on the website often have noticed. And I just wanted to just let you know, like, that yellow banner is gone with where we put our monthly updates. It is on the same page, but you're gonna have to scroll down. And I do just want to again signal that the left-hand navigation where you see resources monitoring, fiscal allocations, guidance, those things, that's like all of our ESEA pages. So take a few moments sometime in the next couple weeks, just look through what each page has. They're not super long. We are going to probably continue to move things around and organize, so I can always let the field know if there's something really important that's changed on the website. But notably resources, right? Like year at a glance, the life cycle, those are there. All of the recordings for office hours live on our resources page. Monitoring is everything monitoring. It has like a whole guidance. It has what we do throughout the year. All of the items are listed there. Fiscal allocations is where we post preliminary and final. Guidance will be a lot of title specific guidances, statutory references, spending snapshots, those kinds of things. Grants for Me, that's another place to get onto the Grants for Me website. Grant management has links to Egger and UGG and the GEM platform and the Grants for Me platform on there as well. And then the CNA guidance and template is what I was talking about. It has the comprehensive needs assessment template that's been updated this year. And it has school-wide rubric, school-wide waiver. It's all there. So just a reminder that for folks, if you get used to the website, it can be a very good resource for you.
All right, good morning, folks. Just wanted to touch base about Title V eligibility for the upcoming school year. We have submitted data to USED for all LEAs, and unfortunately, again, we have to use the SABE data, which comes from the Census Bureau, and that indicates the poverty percentages for each district, and unfortunately, we're not allowed to change those. We do have the initial eligibility spreadsheet on our website that we can that we're asking folks to go ahead and review. Make sure that the information that is there is up to date and accurate. I just put that link in the chat. If you do review the spreadsheet and you find that there is something that is inaccurate or does need to be updated, please reach out to me directly via email. That way I've got it, a hard copy of it, so I can make that update and get that sent over to the department.
We wanted to provide a friendly reminder about our Equitable Services training, which is being held on March 4th at 10 a.m. We have the link that is on the slide, but also within our newsletters for you folks both in January and again in February. This is an opportunity to come together both as the SAU and the non-public, in which the boundary lines of the SAU. We really hope it's an opportunity to engage in conversation and be informed about all things related to equitable services, whether that's allowable activities or the best way to do consultation. Again, these are all requirements, both federally and programmatic, fiscally as well as programmatic. So we just want to be sure that everybody has additional information to make FY26 as successful as possible as it relates to equitable services and with our non-publics and our SAUs.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to provide a reminder that the federal fiscal office hours has been moved to quarterly. Our next office hour will be April 24th, 2025. Please, if you have anything that you want covered in that office hour, email me and so that I can get ahead of the game and get that on the agenda. This is a great meeting for new business managers as well to be introduced to federal grants. FY24 invoicing, service period of October 1st and beyond. That if you have an approved performance report, those are being approved daily, those invoices. If you do not have an approved performance report, those invoices are on hold until your performance report is approved. You can check the status of your invoice in Grants for Me. Go to the history log. I put a little note there if we're waiting for a performance report to be approved. Invoicing reminders as you're doing your budgets for FY26. I just want to remind folks that FY26 funds cannot support accrued salaries that were accrued this year. They were earned during the school year of 24-25. They cannot be accrued and paid with 26 funds. All invoices submitted for reimbursement and Grants for Me need to be accompanied by a detailed expenditure report. Some of you know that I have been asking for detailed versus a summary report. Please make sure these are detailed. And they are an expenditure run for the service period that reimbursement is being requested. Splitting reimbursement requests, they must have the same service period. So if you're trying to use up old funds, say FY24, and there's not enough in the FY24 allocation to support your service period, you're going to split those invoices with FY25. Please make sure the details are on the trial balance. I cannot go through 50 pages of backup and add up this expense and that expense and hopefully come to what you're requesting. So please make sure that there is detail on that trial balance. Whenever you're splitting your request and you're asking for salary and benefits must appear on both invoices. Okay, so avoid asking for salaries from one fiscal year and the benefits from another. Split them, and it doesn't have to be equally, but you need to show that you are asking for both salary and benefits. I believe the next screen is a detailed expenditure report where they did split, and you see it's nicely notated exactly what they are asking for in which fiscal year. Fiscal monitoring, FY25 fall, the fall collection has ended. And for fiscal, that was E1 and E4. Please, if those are outstanding still, contact me so that we can work to get those closed out. FY25 monitoring is open for submissions, and the fiscal elements are E2, which is a written travel reimbursement policy. 2 CFR 200.475 is the regulation that falls under. E7 is the written procurement standards. Again, I have notated 2 CFR there. If you have a high level of monitoring, you will submit both E2, E7, E3, and E6. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. This is your friendly reminder of all the grants under ESEA that you possibly could have open at this time. Please note, many of these are ending this year. So let's get our invoices in and get those grants bankrupt.
As always, the department supports an array of professional learning, and the PD calendar is nicely situated on the homepage of every single webpage or team and office within the department. So we do encourage you to poke through the professional development that we have as we offer as a department, but also you will notice that all of our professional development, our ESEA professional development, is also on that calendar. Again, we leave you with our contact information. Your first point of contact when it comes to the ESEA team is going to be your regional program manager. And we know that we're all here to support all the work that is transpiring, and we value the relationship that we have with our ESEA coordinators, our superintendents, our principals, and our business managers. So please don't hesitate to reach out should you have any questions. And this is where you're able to find the department as a whole on all of our social platforms. And now we will just open it up for questions from you folks.